Here in front of me, I have the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Go, and though it was released, I don't know, a few months ago, we've not actually had one here in the office. We've not been able to get our hands on one for various reasons, but it's here now. I've not actually seen this thing in person, so let's jump in the box. So this device has been available for a little while now. We've just not been able to get our hands on it. And honestly, it doesn't do a whole lot of mesmerizing things. It's a Jasper Lake, kind of base level Jasper Lake processor. So a Celeron N4500, 4 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage. And Samsung has kind of done this and had some success in this space over the years. So the original Samsung Chromebook, and then the Chromebook 2 and the Chromebook 3. And last year they had the Samsung Chromebook 4 and 4 Plus. You know, they've sold well because people know the brand. They look and say they see Samsung and they feel more comfortable buying a Samsung Chromebook, even if it's not the best thing in the world. And last year's 4 and 4 Plus were kind of similar. There was nothing special about them from a spec perspective. They were just Samsung's low end devices. And at $300, I mean, honestly, the Jasper Lake processors now, even the base ones, are okay. They get by fine. They get pretty good battery life. 4 gigs of RAM isn't anything to write home about. We always like to see 8 gigs, but in a low-end device, that's okay. The only thing I would say I have a little trouble with is 32 gigs of internal storage. I wish that wasn't a thing ever on Chromebooks at this point, but you know, that's what Samsung's going with here on this one. So if it brings some cool design aesthetics or something like that to the table, then hey, you know, maybe this is a good Chromebook for some of you all out there. I don't know. Again, we have not had our hands on one of these yet. And I'm seeing it alongside of you for the first time. So it's 14 inches, and I don't think it's full HD either. So it's already kind of got some knocks against it in the spec department. This is kind of nice, cool paper here, though. Like, it's like a waxy, I don't really know. Like a tissue-y. That's weird. It even sounds funny. Interesting. Cool block here. So super fast charging. So I don't know what that exactly means, but hopefully it means a decent top-up speed. And because it's USB Type-C, you'll be able to use that with you know, your phones or other tablets or anything like that. So always cool to see a nice portable mobile charger, not the big huge brick when we start talking about these lower end devices. Quick start guides. Nothing out of the ordinary here. I did appreciate, you know, this is still the brown box, so this is like the recyclable kind of stuff, but the fact that it's got the Galaxy Chromebook branding on the top here, that was kind of a nice touch. Again, we're talking a $300 Chromebook here, so any little thing that's better than the normal Chromebook is worth something. And I can already tell you, just getting it out, like, that's a decent looking device for a low-end Chromebook. So get rid of all this stuff here. Just chuck this to the side. And let's see what this boy's bringing. I don't think we have any aluminum here. No, that's all plastic. But, you know, good looking. Nice kind of boxy edges here. Nothing really around the front there. Just a very squared off, modern looking design. So you got a USB Type-C, USB Type-A, Kensington lock. Those are always a little funny on really low end devices. Another USB Type-C over here, micro SD card, headphone microphone jack, and of course it's Jasper Lake, so it's a small core Intel. So not surprisingly, there are no fan ports down here. There are 2 speaker grills. We'll check those out for a second and see what they sound like. But again, on the table, that's scooting around a lot on me. I'm gonna have to pick these things off. We might do that as we cut away, because I might have to cut away to plug it in to get it to turn on. But before we do that, we'll at least look at the inside. That's a nice touch. I really like the silver exterior. It reminds me a lot of the CX5, so the 15.6-inch Asus device. You kind of open it up and get this kind of all blacked out interior, which is really nice. We have cupped keys, which is always a nice touch as well. So the keys kind of cup down, so when you put your fingers in there, it feels nice. Really clicky, nice keyboard. Yeah, this feels really good. Not a glass trackpad. Not surprised. Decent click mechanism. It feels a little cheap. And then a little bendy down low, you know, corner hold isn't going to feel great, and you can wrench on it some, but when it's closed up all together, it's not terrible. It's not the worst thing. There have been some Samsung Chromebooks in the past that have not felt great. But again, when you put your hands on it and type, the keyboard does feel good. There's actually, for as flexible as that is, there's a little bit of give there, but not a ton of give in the center of the keyboard. So that helps make the typing experience feel a little bit better. And the trackpad feel good. So give me just a second. Let me get this thing booted up, turned on, and we'll see how bad this screen is. Okay, so I've got everything logged in and we're up and running here. And you know, the login process and some of the signing in stuff, you really get to use the keyboard and trackpad for a few seconds. And I can tell you, this is a very usable keyboard deck. Like, this is going to be a decent one to type out some long papers on, or, you know, I could write a few posts on this and not care too much about that. The trackpad feels a little hollow the more I clicked around on it, but the click is good. So it didn't have like that floppy trackpad thing going on. So again, usable. Like, this is all very usable, pretty standard fare here for a Chromebook. And the setup process went pretty quickly too. Like, things feel pretty quick. Part of that is because Intel's small core Jasper Lake processors that are in these lower end Chromebooks has gotten pretty good. And with 4 gigs of RAM, it's fine. It works pretty well. Here's the deal. This display on this particular Chromebook is not full HD. It's 14 inches, but not full HD, which is really weird. It actually is a 1366 by 768 panel, and you can tell it in some of the finer details. I'm not going to be able to turn and get this on the camera here, but simple little things like the battery indicator that would normally have a Thunderbolt in it while I had it plugged in to kind of get it to turn on. The display resolution so low here, like, you couldn't even tell it was a lightning bolt. It just looked like it had a fuzzy blob in the middle of the battery. And so little stuff like that's a bit annoying. 1366 by 768, which we'll just call standard HD, not full HD, to me is too low resolution for a screen of this size. So that screen resolution should never escape 11.6 inch devices, in my opinion. The other weird thing about this is, you know, just it's not heavy. It's not a heavy Chromebook, but I would wager it's a little over 3 pounds if I'm guessing. And the issue with that is this is called the Galaxy Chromebook Go. The Samsung Galaxy Chromebook and Galaxy Chromebook 2 both weigh less, are thinner, and actually have smaller screens and smaller bezels. They're way more portable devices than this is. So what Samsung's really doing here is using that Go terminology to basically denote that it's a lower cost machine. And I don't love that. It's the same thing when companies say this is Pro, such and such Pro, and it's not really any better than anything else, and you don't need it to be a professional, or it doesn't help you be a professional any better. I don't like that stuff either. So I don't love the naming on this. Go makes me think small and pick up like an 11.6 inch device or a 12 inch device or something like that. This doesn't do that. And so, but like I said, typing, trackpad is nice enough. We got to talk about this screen though. So I'm going to spin it around here, and I'm going to show you just pretty quickly. I'm going to lean it forward. You probably see everything just falling apart here. And then we'll get kind of back in. And then, there we go again. Now it's super dark because it's a TN panel. And unfortunately, that just means really bad viewing angles. Now, I think, let me ask Joe here, am I roughly on plane here? Now, if I turn it to the side, it loses a little brightness, but you don't get all that color shifting. TN panels do okay this way. They just don't do okay this way. So the minute I turn it off angle and then turn it, it's really bad. So, you know, as you're setting up, you're going to be trying to find that perfect exact angle. Again, I guess that's part of lower end Chromebooks, but I know that there are 14-inch full HD panels. This isn't a touchscreen either. I know that there are panels like that out there that are not that expensive to get in large quantities. And so I do wish Samsung would have done a little bit better this year. It didn't have to be the brightest panel or the most color accurate panel, or even I guess it needs to be some sort of cheap IPS or something so we don't deal with these viewing angles. But there are lower end Chromebooks with far better screens than this for this kind of money. So that part's a little bit of a bummer. But it's not all bad news. Again, like I said, that 1366 by 768 resolution does help in the performance category. And I think that's part of why moving around this thing, if I put it here, I'm going to try to navigate left-handed here so you all can see. You know, moving around the OS and all that kind of stuff is nice and speedy, and things move around really smoothly. And So all of that stuff's great, and lower resolution helps that. It lets the lower end processor move everything on the screen much easier without as much friction. And I would suppose, we don't know this yet, but I would suppose that this would have really good battery life as well as a result of that. So there are trade-offs. There are good things about having lower resolution, but the screen is what you're going to look at all day long every time you open this thing up. And unfortunately, it's not great here. It's not the worst panel I've ever seen, but it's not great. But one unexpected surprise when I was going to set this up, I wanted to get a little video queued up real fast to check the speakers. And honestly, every time I do that, I'm prepared to hit the play button and hear thin, tinny audio come out of the speakers. And instead, let me crank this thing up just so we can hear it. I heard this. Been pretty harsh on Chromebook tablets over the years. From the early... I will say this. Chromebooks in general don't have to have the best overall speaker experience. You're not going to watch a lot of content on this with this screen. You're just not going to. But you might take some phone calls on it. You might take some video calls on it. So being able to reproduce spoken word with good clarity and fullness is a really good thing on a Chromebook. And this one does that really well. So I'm going to play this until we get to the intro track so we can actually... I haven't heard what any music sounds like on it just yet. Like Acer's there are a lot of reasons for that. I'm talking way too much. Let's chat a little bit about the first Chromebook tablet. But man, that spoken word sounds great. All right, here we go. Today's video is brought to you by... Yeah, not mind-bogglingly good, but I would put that up probably like, I don't know, top 10 Chromebooks, speaker-wise anyway, that I've heard. I mean, that sounds really good. And so, you know, watching videos back, again, taking calls and all that kind of stuff, it's going to sound really good on this. But overall, this is just a real basic Chromebook from Samsung. It looks like a Samsung device. It performs decently enough, I think. You know, for what you're getting for $300, and it goes on sale a little bit here and there at different places. You know, there have been deals where it's been like $250, $240. So when you get down to that kind of price range, it becomes hard to nitpick everything. I do wish they put a better screen on this thing, but you know, I can forgive the all plastic build. I wish there was 64 gigs of storage on here, but you can put a micro SD card slot or card in the slot there and kind of fix some of that. But you get some nice port selection here, good speakers, a good looking device, a good keyboard, a good trackpad. So there are some good things going on here. I just don't think that this is the best Chromebook you can buy for $300. It's a decent one. I just don't know that it's the best. And ultimately, I think in the lower price range, I think Samsung could do just a little bit better. But again, some people are just going to buy Samsung because it's Samsung. And honestly, if you choose to do that and you go with this particular Chromebook, especially if it's on sale, I don't necessarily think that that's going to be a bad decision. But guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, head down there and hit the subscribe button, and be sure to hit the notification icon right next to it if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Till next time, we'll see you.